Okay, let's move on to keto and histamine intolerance. Christie says, "Hi, Robb and Nikki. I hope you can help me. I'm eating a dairy-free, nut-free, ketogenic diet for leaky gut and inflammation purposes. I track macros using the Ketogains method, and I'm experiencing what I believe to be a pretty intense histamine intolerance and have been for the past year and a half. I can't figure out what to eat. Keto foods seem to be predominantly high in histamine. I love keto. I feel incredible when I eat this way, and I'm already taking DAO and Quercitin. Quercitin? Quercitin.
Quercetin, yep.
I don't drink alcohol at the moment, nor do I consume fermented foods. Can you please shed some light on how someone with a histamine intolerance can navigate their way through keto? I'm at a loss and feeling pretty discouraged. Thank you to both of you for all the important work you do and your continuous accessibility."
Oh, man. Okay, Nikki, channel what is Rob thinking?
I have no
idea. Man, these things are really tough. And this is some of the stuff that I hope I look back 10 years from now and I'm like, fuck, I really had that stuff wrong. But one could make the case that people end up in these histamine intolerant states because of a narrowing of food choices. And so it narrows the gut microbiota. But then people oftentimes narrow their food choices because they feel like dog shit, and then they feel better, at least for some period of time, with a narrowing of the food choices. But even within this kind of keto land, there are foods that are not really in that like pro-histamine list, like the fermented foods and stuff like that. What's one thing that would deal with the histamine problem almost immediately? Going carnivore. What does going carnivore potentially do? Further limit your gut microbiota. Now, we don't know, is that overall good? Is that overall bad? Is it overall good for me and overall bad for you? Like, that's a bunch of the shit that we don't know and needs to be unpacked. And I wish I had a better answer to this. You know, it's...
So what are the primary foods that are...
definitely fermented foods, things like sardines. I mean, the list is kind of like tear producing when you consider eating kind of like a paleo ketogenic type diet. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the major stuff. So I mean, the options are kind of to try to stay within the foods that are not problematic. There are options also of doing some things like the GI map test and to see if you maybe have a pathogenic overgrowth of certain bacteria that maybe has displaced some of these histamine. So you have histamine producing bacteria. If you can displace those or reduce their number, then you tend to produce less histamine. There are other bacteria that can actually metabolize histamine. So there's some different strategies around that. Some people find that doing, maybe there's some small intestinal bacterial overgrowth that feeds into this. This is just where like you've got to grab somebody that's kind of a good gut person, Chris Kresser, Mike Ruscio, Lily Nichols, who's Agali Jacobs. Like all these people are really, really good with this stuff. And you need to get in and do some testing and try to get a sense of where your gut microbiome is. And then we can do some tweaking and fiddling, like maybe we add a little bit of resistant starch to the mix and also do something like there's a couple of different probiotic strains like the BSL-3 that's used for Crohn's and ulcerative colitis, I believe. And then this product called Seed, which is probably one of the best research-backed probiotic supplements out there. But you need somebody to help you navigate that stuff. Like you need to kind of figure out what's your baseline and then develop a plan, test the plan, and then assess and go forward. Iterate. So Chrissy, I wish I had a more concrete plan for you. The things that I could say right now that would probably help address things, just limit those histamine producing foods, which the ultimate expression of that is probably something that looks like carnivore, and or find a functional medicine person who is well-versed in ferreting out gut issues and start figuring out how to rebuild the gut microbiota so that the histamine production is less of a problem. And that is way easier said than done. Like it is for folks going through it. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Okay.